trying to think, how can I block it? I do have this here. I got packages. That's not dark in there. Okay, I'll just have to be creative. So, yay. I'm really excited. I don't know how much was delivered from my order, but I do know this. I ordered stuff. They sent me a box that was not taken care of, but it's the spray bottle boxes for the perfume, because I'm out of them. So that's nice, and I got them in black. That way it's a different color. I think black is a nice color. It almost seems like they kind of just toss things in here. It's like they were shipping. Which would have surprised me because you know everyone's shopping for the holidays. Now, some of the crazy thing is I'm going to now is I am buying a cherry scented, or I bought a cherry scented essential oil alongside an apple. So then I can make like an apple cinnamon sugar scrub, and oh my goodness. That would be awesome. It smells amazing. So I am really excited for that. Then I'm also going to just post on the website. I'll include a standard flavor. I'll include like an unscented for the just plain old coconut oil, because that's just coconut oil. I'm not spending another $10 to get just a bit of essential oils, like good quality essential oils. So this stuff is kind of like poorly packaged and just rushed through, so I have to put it together. I mean, everything seems to be okay, which is good. I was a little concerned because it's glass. The other thing I'm really looking forward to is, one of the things I ordered was something for soap, so I can make my own shampoo. Why aren't you religious? Because I study things, and I think it's absolutely preposterous to think that everything came from nothing. That is exactly what a non-religious person tends to believe. Remember me, the dude. I mean, I respect people who disagree with me. Like, I'm not going to shame you for you thinking differently than me, but I'm being for real. If you're asking why I believe in Jesus, if you look at different scientific principles, such as how one of the things observed in the law of causality is every single cause is caused by a different cause. And something else is called the law of conservation. It says energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but energy was created at the beginning of the universe. So, scientifically possible, something coming from nothing, energy coming from nothing? No. What did you study? I studied science, and then I also studied archaeological finds, and the fact that much of the Bible corroborates with different parts of what's in the world. So quit spreading false information. I think that's great for anybody who does not do the research into this stuff. If you research you will find that the law of causality is like every cause or has every effect has a cause. It's something no non-religious person believes something comes from nothing. So, Mr. James Scott, how do you believe the Earth, or not the Earth, the universe was created, or how do you think it was formed? Because infinity, even though it is a concept, it is not something proven. So, that's not something that's like, hi Dan! So you can't rely on that. Plus, the law of conservation says energy cannot be created or destroyed. I'm not going to guess. To quote a childhood show, choosing not to choose isn't really a choice. Where have you been? Working my butt off because there's something happened at work, and so the manager is not working there no more. And plus holiday season. It was exhausting. Today I only had a 6-hour shift and I went to like a venues. Gotta open this. So that's where I've been. And tomorrow I'm going to be closing. What job interviews have you gone to? I have not gone to that many. Yay! That bottles came through and I can start making the shampoo once I have the soap. I know what this one is. No. Can't make stuff up because you don't understand. I didn't make it up. I did not make anything up. What I think is very interesting is the fact that from an archaeological standpoint, not only did Jesus exist, but non-biblical records and even records against Jesus recorded him being someone who was more influential and powerful. Someone did, and now you believe them. I choose to follow evidence. And even if we come to a different conclusion, that's perfectly alright, James Scott, because we all have our own different perspectives. But what you have to prove is, how did someone make it up? Like, you made a statement, and naturally, as any person who makes a statement has a burden of proof, if you wish to have a rational discussion, you'll have to prove to me, what evidence is it that someone made it up? What evidence is it that the 63 authors, written in 3 languages on 3 continents over 1,500 years in a time when the internet was not available, and the fact that it coincides with a lot of archaeological and historical evidence, how is that someone making it up? There's no evidence to support an invisible creator, so you obviously don't believe in evidence. I think you might misunderstand something. Look up what the law of conservation is. It says energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And if you look at one of the principles in the law of causality, is every cause has a different cause. So essentially, at the birth of the universe, when the universe was created, there was energy being created. But the universe does not violate the universe law. That's why there's the universe law. So that says that there has to be something beyond the universe that's more powerful than the universe. Whether or not his intelligence is a different discussion, but something more powerful to have created the universe. So why aren't there 10,000 gods? I don't have all the answers. Like you said, if we don't know, we don't know. But anyways, to continue on my little ramble. So if there is something to have created the universe, what is the sign that it's intelligent? Well, just look at the intricacies of how life is. You don't look at a fine-tuned machine and be like, well, we just appeared from like a biological process that came about from thousands of years, even though there's actual bacteria, which is a less complex biological process that shows that it's very similar and does not conform to known mutation rates. This is known as the Lazarus bacteria, by the way. Feel free to research that for yourself. It's so even though there's known mutation rates, bacteria found in rocks from millions and millions of years ago, or I forget the exact timing of it, so that number might be off, but it's a very old fossil, but yet it looks very similar to the bacteria known today, despite the known mutation rates. So shouldn't start sentences like there has to be. That's called forming your own conclusions. There has to be is a sentence usually following a logical process. It would be preposterous if I said, this has liquid in it, therefore it has to be water. That would be preposterous because it's Mountain Dew, not water. But that's not what I'm doing here. And what I'm doing here is following a logical process. Now, since we said that there's very much intricacies that cannot evolve over millions of years, as seen with the Lazarus bacteria, now we have the question of, we have proof that it's intelligence. Which one is it? Which religion is it? There's so many religions out there, just like what James Scott was saying. Why aren't there 10,000 gods? Now, I firmly believe that if someone were to have intelligently created a world and people and animals and all sorts of fabulous, intricate artwork, machinery, whatever you want to view it as, they would make it themselves known. So to this, we go to archaeological and historical evidence. To which, sorry for the ramble, I'm a little out of breath from rambling. But to which we have a very simple thing. There's a lot of evidence that Jesus, from the Bible, existed as a man. And not only that, there's a lot of evidence, archaeological and historical evidence, that coincides with the events of the Bible, such as the Wall of Solomon, the Pool of Siloam, Noah's Ark, I forget what the town, Goliath's hometown is called Gath. So is a creator a theory? Yes. It is a theory, but just like most theories, most scientific theories is based in facts, and to the people who believe in that theories, it is a truth. And if you are, okay, read my comment, please. Does anyone believe I lived in Washington State at the time the Mount St. Helens erupted? I have proof I was there. That's how believing history and facts of Jesus was real and on earth. That is so true. Let me pull up my little book I've been writing on it. And I'm just going to ramble things. I encourage you guys to research yourself. Don't. At least you're smart enough to admit that most religious people aren't. Yeah. And I feel like there's too many people who blindly follow what they believe in, or they're blinded by their feelings in the matter, if that makes sense. Gotta find the specific one. I mean, so many Google Docs since getting proposed to and working on the wedding. Found it. So there's so much evidence that coincides with what's in Scripture. For example, the Tel Dan stele references the House of David, which was also with Israel and all that. So the House of David, the royal line of David, was real. The Kingdom of Edom wasn't believed to be a militaristic kingdom, as mentioned in, let me see where it is. Numbers 20, where it was like the Edomites were, nope, you're not coming through, we're violent. And then it was found by archaeologist Thomas Levy of the University of California. and there was a copper mining operation that would be consistent or have only been organized by, quote, an ancient state or kingdom. It was at the site of Khurbat and Nahaz. I apologize for mispronouncing. And then the Egyptian takeover in that was also found, and in that there were a scarab with the name Pharaoh Shoshank I. Hi, Pumbaa. Just remember, there were a lot of things dated long before the Bible was written. Of course, the Bible wasn't really compiled. I'm just going with the events that coincide with what's said in Scripture. Water, ice, steam. I would say it's really hard to explain it because the Trinity isn't so much different forms, because that's a modalist heresy. It's really hard to explain. My mind is focusing on the evidence. The Wall of Solomon, I'll tell you the specifics of it. In 1 Kings 3, after marrying an Egyptian pharaoh, Solomon built a wall. The wall was excavated by Elet Mazar, quote, measuring approximately 70 meters in length and 6 meters high. These ancient remains situate the wall's location precisely encompasses the best estimates of the city of Jerusalem during this time, including a gatehouse and a guard tower. The purpose of the structure was one for military defense is indisputable. Helping to date the remains of the walls, remnants of poetry from the late 10th century BCE, the reign of Solomon, help corroborate the contextuality of the structure. The second pool of Shalom, or Shalom, which is where Jesus healed the blind man, in John 9:17. I'm putting on my glasses because I can barely read it. I feel like my vision's getting a little worse. So who wrote the original Bible? There were 63 authors. It was not one person. And the pool was actually discovered by sewage workers who were repairing a sewage line. It measured to 70 meters in length using coins and pottery shards. It was determined that this pool was built less than 100 years prior to the birth of Jesus and was likely still in use during his lifetime. And then the hornstone altar, which was recorded in Exodus 27:1 and 2 and 1 Kings 1:50, was found. Can you name one of the authors? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Now, for the Old Testament, if I recall, Moses, and the rest were historical documents, and there were some Psalms written by David among other authors. So I do apologize for rambling. My brain is half asleep and work has been a little intense. Anyways, this was found by Edward Robinson. He found a 3,000-year-old hornstone altar. And then there was also the temple, which bore striking similarities to the one that Samson destroyed in Judges 16:28-30. Then the Noah's Ark was found in the mountains, of all places, which coincides with Scripture, of course. Peter also wrote a book, and Paul wrote many of the books of the New Testament, by the way, James. There were also so many other styles out there, and I have this series. It's called Did Jesus Exist? Let me switch to a different one. Hi, Jesus is the Son of God. I agree with that. Did Jesus Exist? Episode 7 is at the, no, I need episode 8. I love rambling about the evidence for Jesus. Is there God an entity that wants to elements? Yep. Yes, there is. I already have, just the fact that the government's doing that right now with technology makes it very plausible. This isn't like concrete evidence, it's more circumstantial, but if you think about it, we have machinery that tracks 7 billion people right now. So what makes you think that the person who created everything from the stars to the microscopic atom to the fact that you and me were both unique, thinking, able to have free will and think whatever we want, and all of that complex stuff, what makes you think that he isn't capable of watching? Like, what makes you think that a God who created the entire universe would not be capable of watching something that is like a grain of sand amidst a beach? What makes you think he can't watch that? What scientific evidence that he can't watch it? I asked if there was any evidence. And I am responding with what evidence is there that can't be possible? Using logic, what evidence is it that the God who created everything can't watch one part of his creation? So no then? I mean, I could search it up real quick, but please answer my question, because I'm assuming there's no for that as well. Keep in mind, we do have machinery, man-made stuff, that can watch everybody on Earth. So, of a godlike entity that watch over 7 billion. That's not what I asked. Well, I'm asking you a question. Can you answer it, please, Mr. Scott? So, I'm going to use this answer. The scientific evidence is, let's go to the fact that we humans, or at least the humans who have access to machinery, can watch over 7 billion people at once through machinery. God is not human. Let me ask you, James Scott, what would you attribute to a godlike entity? Like, what attributes would you contribute to it? And then the other thing is, there's so much stuff on like social media where algorithms, computers, can literally like censors billions of stuff. I wouldn't, because I don't believe it is real, and that's okay. But the thing I'm asking is, what attributes would you attribute to a godlike entity? What would make an entity godlike? Would it be its infinite nature? If we're assuming that this godlike entity did create everything, would it be that he is somehow, like, in a way that's beyond our current understanding, able to be aware of the things that he created? We can guess all day I'm looking for scientific data, and I'm looking for scientific data that says there isn't a God. So, how can you say you're looking for scientific data when science, in any logical perspective, cannot, if you don't cherry pick it, then you can't come to a conclusion. But if you do choose to look at the affirmation, then you'll find the answer. And the affirmation says yes. How would you go about proving the existence of God? And also, just as a heads up, the likelihood of God existing, I already performed an experiment on that. Something that doesn't exist. Actually, it's not that impossible. The first thing you want to do to prove the non-existence of something that doesn't exist is to go in which you heard from that something. And then if that something's like, okay, well, here's 50 million people who also agree with this testimony, who also have different testimonies in all over the world that have nothing to do with each other, and they have a very similar testimony, then you have to be like, okay, if this is all true, let's go to the books. Let's go to their books. See if we can find stuff from their books that corresponds with our world, like the evidence I had just said. And either you'll find it or you don't. And if you do find it, and if you find an abundance of it, as we see that there's a lot of evidence documenting Jesus existing, documenting that he was crucified, and then so many other events in Scripture corresponding with the archaeological evidence, then you have to go with then the things that are in the Bible corresponds with the world, with the things that were happening in the world at that time. But people will dismiss the Bible because of the one part that they have a hard time understanding. They have a hard time wrapping their heads around. And that's something that's a godlike deity. Again, you can disagree all you want. I'm not here to shame you. If you feel like I'm doing that, feel free to let me know. That is not at all my intention. While you're composing your response, I'm going to smell this. This is one of my premium scents. Anyways, if you cannot find evidence to support, like you cannot find archaeological evidence, and you find absolutely no scientific evidence that can support the plausibility of the existence of God, then it's kind of like, then it's not real. But there is no evidence that everything was created from nothing. And like I was saying earlier, choosing not to choose isn't really a choice. And choosing not to look at the evidence is also not really a choice for being reasonable in belief, if that makes sense. Ooh, I love this smell. Oh, 6 people like that. I didn't even realize I was just rambling about stuff. Also, I should warn you, James Scott. I just don't think the evidence is there to support creationism. Okay, so we went from talking about God existing to talking about whether or not God is capable of looking over people, now to creationism. Am I understanding that correct? No, I'm at 20%. I'm gonna go grab my charger real quick. My bag isn't up here, so I have to go to my bed so I can charge it without having a charge slot. And now that I'm not being at my computer, I'll take it off. Because I'm going to look away from my phone for a sec, so I will respond when you respond. But I had ear surgery where I had to change the shape of my ears because I was born with it folded. And I had part 1 of the surgery, and then part 2 was a couple years ago, and then they had to undo part of the first surgery. So it makes wearing glasses kind of painful. So, James Scott. Creationism is the worldview that something created everything. So, if you don't believe in creationism, then that means you believe, if we're going to the real basics of it, either you don't have a belief, which I don't think that's a reasonable stance if you're engaging in this sort of discussion. You don't believe in any such thing. Because how can you debate regarding belief if you don't have belief? Like, you can make some arguments, but I guess what it's like trying to think of how I could word it. You can't debate if the candle is lit or not lit if you choose not to look at the candle. If that makes sense. But if you don't believe that some intelligent being created everything, then you still have the dilemma of proving how stuff came from nothing. Or if you don't believe in that, then you have another dilemma for yourself. So, that was quite a ramble. I think I'm going to head out though. It was nice to have that discussion. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.